The Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. How are you, sir?
All is well, my friend. How are you?
I must confess you are a fan favorite on the show after your last appearance, sir.
Wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't take that for granted at all.
Pastor, we are going to get to the topic that that we emailed you about that I want to talk to you about, but I want to ask you, are you familiar with a rap artist that's headed to the White House who goes by the name Common?
I heard about him. I'm not aware of him that much, but someone was just telling me about him yesterday.
I don't think we are in his prime demographic. I think this is for a younger man. But he uses the N-word repeatedly. He refers to shooting cops and doing bad things to President Bush. But this language of using the N-word repeatedly, you know, I've always struggled with that because people say, you know, it's a terrible word. They want to outlaw it. Nobody should ever think it, much less say it. And yet these rap artists can't get enough of it. It's like they use it for filler when they got an extra syllable in there. What are we to make of this?
The real honest truth about it is that black Americans really don't care about that word at all. Not all, but most of them use it all the time. You can go to the Abbott public schools around the country. You'll hear it. They only want to pretend that they care about their word in order to control white Americans. They don't. It's just another way of manipulating white folks. Because if black Americans truly cared about that word, if it was so offensive, they would not use it themselves. Because everything starts with the individual first. And so the real truth about that, they don't care about their word. It's just another way of manipulating white people.
Well,
and a lot of white people, I spoke at a Tea Party rally last night down in Hermosa Beach in California here, and everybody and their mama showed up for it. And during the question and answer period, most of the people asked me, how do I deal with black people? I'm so afraid of being called a racist. What do I do? And I explained to them that that word has no power except that they give into that word. And what they have to learn to do is just be calm, be still, and stand up and speak the truth and allow the name calling to happen, but don't be intimidated by it. And that's how, until white Americans start doing that, things are not going to get better. That's the idea with the so-called N-word. Until white people stand up and say, look, if you don't like that word, you need to stop using it. Because most black people, Michael, are not getting the truth in their homes, their churches, their schools, and somebody got to tell them the truth. And I'm afraid that it's going to have to come from white Americans.
Well, I'm doing my part.
You are. Thank you for that.
I'm a truth sayer, Reverend Peterson. Now,
there's no way you can love God and not be of truth. God is about truth. Truth without resentment is love.
Well, not only that, it's not only a reflection of my love of God and a reflection of my faith, it's also a reflection of my love of my fellow man and my country. I don't believe we can head in the direction we are heading, being led by the people we're being led by, most of them charlatans, without calling it what it is, which is a sham and a scam, as you've written about.
Don't you think it's interesting that Obama would invite this guy to the White House? And also, I don't know if you remember or not, but Obama on Easter Sunday attended another racist black church. He and Michelle went to the church with Pastor Smith, last name Smith.
Right.
And this guy is a known racist. So Obama leaves Jeremiah Wright Jr., and he goes over to this guy. And people are wondering, why is it that Obama would go to this church after leaving Jeremiah Wright Jr.? And I said, hey, look, it's common sense. My grandmother always taught us that birds of a feather flock together. And so Obama is flocking around these people because he agrees with them. And I don't know what it's going to take for Americans to realize that Obama is a racist as well.
The Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, if you want to find out more about him, we'll put a link again on our site because a number of people did at michaelberry.com. Reverend Peterson, you have been at the forefront speaking on this issue of the radicalization of young blacks into the Islamic faith as a means by which to turn them into jihadists in this country. You've been into the prison system where you say these young, angry black men, which you said you yourself were at one point, are being recruited into this movement. And now we find out that was Osama bin Laden's plans. The materials we're finding from Abbottabad show that that's exactly what he was doing. U.S. officials saying, quote, Al-Qaeda sees the black convert community as ripe for recruiting. Tell us about that.
First I want to tell you, Michael, the last time I was on your show, everybody and their mama contacted me. It was amazing.
I had a lot of people who were interested in your message. They found it very refreshing and very truthful.
Yeah, thank you for that. But for the last 20 years, my nonprofit organization, Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, has been doing a lot of work in the jails and juvenile detention centers around the country. And we have ran into recruiters from Louis Farrakhan's organization. And I started at that point to warn Americans that Louis Farrakhan, as we all know, is a racist. He hates the white man. He hates the Jews. And he is recruiting, has been recruiting these angry black men for almost 20 years now. That's how long I have been aware of it. And a lot of these guys, they have felons, and they're very angry, and they would do whatever Louis Farrakhan asked them to do. And even in some of my meetings over the years, many of them have attended some of my meetings and threatened me and gone off on me because they think that I'm the Uncle Tom and the sellout. And I try to warn Americans that because these black men and women are angry, it's easy to manipulate them. It's easy to use them for their own personal gain. As a matter of fact, if I deviate a little bit, we saw that in Malcolm X's personality when he was recruited from a prison. Very angry at the white man, blaming them for all of their problems, and Elijah Muhammad built on that and made Malcolm X one of his soldiers. It only changed after Malcolm went to Mecca and he saw that whites and blacks were fellowshipping together. It wasn't what he had been told. Then he found out that Elijah Muhammad was having sex with everybody and their mama in the church or in the organization, making babies with that, and he finally just got away from them. But these guys are felons. They hate white Americans. They hate America. And Louis Farrakhan is recruiting them from Christianity into the Muslim religion. And that's why people like Osama bin Laden and others know that these folks are angry. They can come into this country and just feed on that anger that is already there. And I'm glad that this information has finally come out with Osama bin Laden, what his plans was as to recruit angry black people for his purpose in this country.
Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, I got about 30 seconds before I have to take a break, but I want to ask you this question. Do you believe that these people are being recruited to convert to Islam, or do you think they're being recruited to convert to an anti-American sentiment?
Well, they're being recruited to convert to Islam for the purpose of turning them even more so against America, and then to use them to carry out their violence attack from within. That's why Osama said that he's going to enhance the racial issue within America because blacks are already angry.